Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So gotta give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the ark pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the whole elect. And shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from GMS Orlando Camp coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification. Lord, witness be edifying. Now, I titled this lesson, The Separation Within Babylon the Great. Now, a clip that I had saw from this guy, Mike Pompeo, which is, I'm assuming it's from when Trump was in office. I just want to play what he said because behind the scenes, man, these devils is really separated. They are not on the same page. They are not together, man. But they pushing it. They push this agenda to the people like they on one accord. Now they use this whole Democrat and Republican thing to show that they fighting for the coming of for the for the common people or whatever. So you got the same how it was with the Civil War, right? With the North Job 924s and the South Job 924s, or the splitting up of because they were saying the North Job 924s were telling the South, y'all made millions or however billions of these slaves, let us get them. So that whole thing was about that's what this guy named Abraham Lincoln and his Emancipation Proclamation, this whole transferring of slaves. So these devils always been fighting, and I was thinking about this going back from the time after Alexander the Great. These devils been separated ever since, man. Because you had Antiochus Epiphanes going against Ptolemy, right? They was fighting amongst themselves. So ever since these generals that took flight after Alexander the Great, they have been fighting amongst themselves forever, man. So this is a little clip. It's only like 6 minutes from Mike Pompeo showing you these devils, man. And he's going in about how these people that control these social medias, like this guy that control Facebook and all these different guys that control these social media sites and how they got too much power. So I'm gonna play this and we're gonna get some precepts. Lord, wouldn't be edifying. See, this show you, man, these devils is not on the same page. Now it's saying in Daniel chapter 2 that that Job 9 and 24 shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another. But even in the midst of these Job 9 and 24 themselves, they are not on the same page, man. Because now there's no more middle class. You either on top or on the bottom. I'm talking about for the Job 9 and 24s. These devils is hot because they not getting that money no more, man. So you either like the apostle been saying for years, like these Job 924s, you are a three-time loser. Because this is your kingdom and you should be on top. So if you're on the bottom, this is that separation. And it always been like this, man. Because in the kingdom, hey, even in the ancient time, when King David ate, all the 12 tribes of Israel ate, man. Nobody starved out for nothing, man. But here in Babylon the Great and around the world, these Job 9 and 24, they only care for their household. They don't care for all the coming Job 9 and 24s, man. So Lord wouldn't be edifying. Oh, let me turn this down. These devils is not on the same page, man.
Collapse from within is possible.
You see, collapse from within is possible. And we know this. According to the scripture, we don't need news clips for this. We already know this, man. You see the title, say Pompeo says collapse from within is possible in dark visions of nations' potential future. We know it's gonna fall. We seeing the bricks. We seeing the bricks fall from it now. We seeing the cracks that's in the side of the building now, man. We see the columns falling from it now. We was going to this Saturday camp, man. A watchman stand back and like, oh, another brick just fell. Uh-oh, there go a crack in the building. We see it, man.
Collapse from within is possible. Race and open borders have become levers for the left to sow societal disunity. Immigration without assimilation, illicit drugs, human trafficking, disputed elections, inflationary risk, they've become the tools to disassemble our republic.
Now you heard that? He said human trafficking, right? Well, who's been the biggest trafficker on the planet, man? It's been these devils. And I gotta read this. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna let him finish. I'm gonna let him finish, then I'm gonna read it. Hold on, Salakia. I'm gonna let him finish, then I'm gonna read this, because these devils, man, the pride of these devils. Let me run this back.
Collapse from within is possible. Race and open borders have become levers for the left to sow societal disunity. Immigration without assimilation, illicit drugs, human trafficking, disputed elections, inflationary risk, they've become the tools to disassemble our republic in what must surely be an attempt at national suicide. We allow MS-13 assassins to pass through our borders with gang tattoos covering their faces while we are lectured by our media for our obstinacy. There's a Marxist theoretician. I don't often talk about Marxist theoreticians. His name was Antonio Gramsci. He's an important man in history. He considered freedom servitude. He endeavored to rescue communism by positing that Western values are themselves cultural hegemony. Sound familiar? Western values have brought democratic institutions, technology, and a vast array of achievements to the world. We know this. And while Gramsci died years ago, I have to ask, why are children being taught his lessons that derive from his invalidation notions in our schools as we sit here today?
Hey, the same reason why you ain't teaching so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians what happened to their people from the transatlantic slave trade to the sub-Saharan slave trade. Why is that not being talked about? But it's always about these devils and what they did. When Jake created everything, man. Tell you that in Jeremiah 51, that Jacob is the form of all things. But they don't want to talk about that. But it's cool, though, because this is your kingdom. And it's falling.
The histories of our heroes should instead be taught. Men like President Reagan. We must do this so students may comprehend the potential for excellence that exists within every single person. There was a fellow, his name was Dr. Norman Borlaug. I had the privilege to speak in Iowa at an event there celebrating his life. He was born in 1914. He created the Green Revolution. It was President Carter who wrote that Dr. Borlaug did more than any individual in history in the battle to end world hunger. Borlaug invented the high-yield wheat and agriculture practice that are used in Kansas today, and the practices that averted starvation in places like Mexico and India, Pakistan, China, and all throughout Africa. In destitute villages the world over, Norman Borlaug didn't see race, he didn't see religion or color. He asked a simple question: do these people have enough food? In so doing, he saved more lives than any person in history. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal, and countless accolades all across the world.
Now you see this behind him, say time for choosing. Well, this what the prophets of Yahweh Shema Shah telling Jake, man. It's a time to choose sides, man. Hey, you still got time to seek Yahweh Hashem Shah while he may be found. It's a time to choose, man. You either gonna follow the straight gate or you gonna stay on that wide and broad place, man, where it's destruction.
But today, there is scary a mention of Mr. Borlaug in any of our public schools. This is tragic, and this must change. We dwell on our faults as if they were unique and not ubiquitous to every land that's ever existed. When will we teach our children about America's triumphs and our greatness? That answer is that every one of you in our party must make sure that that day is tomorrow. Our country is tearing itself apart. And for what? Anarchy and the elimination of our police can bring but death and fear. Discrimination can't be fought with more discrimination. And the form of socialism that is now being praised by the woke politicians and our billionaires will bring democracy to its knees. It'll bring it to its knees by culling dissenting opinions while concealing harmful biases in search engines and in social.
You heard it just said, the billionaires. Let's play it again.
The woke politicians and our billionaires will bring democracy to its knees. It'll bring it to its knees by culling dissenting opinions while concealing harmful biases in search engines and in social media platforms. And if we do not act to secure our elections by demanding voter ID and online manipulation, we will be governed by forces. We will be governed by forces that are beyond our control.
You see, and all these things is set up through conditioning and gradualism, man. Making it seem as if he's against the Mark Zuckerbergs and all these guys, man. Now, of course, they separated, but at the same time, they together, man. To do what? To mandate the all, man. To have everybody to take the all, man. To have one master.
Now, I'm sufficiently cynical to always ask the question, who benefits? Well, it's not America, but an array of global interests that has amassed power and unaccountable wealth through their usurpation of the American dream.
See?
This was done by selling.
And what he talking about, he going into the elites, man. He talking in code, talking about the elites, man. The globalist elites, man.
Commoditizing the engines of our economy. We had whole industries that moved to China. President Trump and I began to stem this tide. We formulated trade policies that brought unmatched numbers of jobs back here home to the United States of America. We established energy independence through regulatory reform, unleashing a massive amount of American dynamism. We addressed intellectual property theft, critical materials and supply chains insecurities. We saved jobs that belong here and must never again be allowed to be stolen by anyone. I know we're not supposed to look backwards at this event, but these last 180 days have been something. This progress that we made has now been countermanded. That's so inconsistent with who we are and must be as a party. China's fusion of business and government has become the model for monopolistic corporations that seek permanent market dominance. Continuous surveillance, uniformity, and indoctrination means stability and growth for the most powerful countries in history. This is the reason why the same entities that exploit slave labor in China, lecture us at home about racism, continue to build their empires. They do it on the backs of slave labor. Do these leaders not hear the cries of Uyghur mothers whose babies are torn from their wombs?
Do you hear this, devil? He said this is what China doing. Well, what about Babylon the Great, man? Hold on. I'm proud of these devils, man.
This is the reason why the same entities that exploit slave labor in China, lecture us at home about racism, continue to build their empires. They do it on the backs of slave labor. Do these leaders not hear the cries of Uyghur mothers whose babies are torn from their wombs? You won't read much about it in our press. If our press were indeed fair-minded, it would expose this deceit. But they're owned, and they're.
You see, he talking about the elites, man. Cause who control the media? It's the elites, man. He talking in code, man.
Bot, and they are silent. When dominant social media platforms can suspend and then ban a president of the United States, there is too much power in too few hands. So how does our party respond? How do we meet this challenge? To change the present course, we must inform our citizens of the threats to liberty, designed to be subtle or unseen, and we must eliminate the constellation of laws and regulations that has granted these corporations almost unlimited and certainly unearned power and wealth. There are some basic precepts, our antitrust laws, Section 230. These are things that will begin to restore freedom.
He said there are basic precepts. Hey, well, they got their precepts and we got ours, man. You see, these devils are separated, man. They ain't together, man. They running this whole two horns like a lamb, but speak like a dragon, man. These devils is not together. Nah, the same way how these devils are separated, and they've been separated since Alexander the Greek, man. They've been separated. The moment he died, his 4 generals came up. They were separated, even all the way to this day, man. Now, on the plantation, what they do to Jake through these what's this guy? The Willie Lynch letters. He kept the house nigga from the field nigga, right? Separated. It was envy, right? Animosity against the field nigga and the house nigga, or the field Jake and the house Jake. You had the light-skinned Jake against the dark-skinned Jake. You had the young Jake against the old Jake. When we supposed to what? Hey, we supposed to give honor to our elders, right? If they older, you supposed to, yes, sir, no, sir. Jake today, they snatching these women purses, killing these old women, whatever, man. All these come from these devils, man. So the same way they had us separated and divided and conquered, as they say, the Lord got them on the same way, man. This got them on the same playing field, even worse. And what is that? Deuteronomy 30:7. He would put all these curses that fell upon us on our enemies. So these devils, they divided and conquered us. So the Lord showing us examples of how these devils are separated. Right. The brother say he ain't create shit. He ain't create nothing, man. Come on. Tell you in Jeremiah 51, man, Jacob is the form of all things, man. Now this is because the first thing he mentioned was about trafficking. Well, who's the biggest trafficker on the planet, man? It's the Job 9:24. This is Ezekiel 28:1. It reads, the word of the Lord Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus said the Lord Yahweh power, because thy heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, which is what? Of the people. And also they control the world through their policies and their legislations, right? Their democracy, their philosophy, their draconian laws. It say, yet thou art a man. And you notice talking about Esau Edom, because it's in Isaiah 14, it's in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. It say, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that thou can hide from thee. They got their satellites everywhere, cameras everywhere. They're watching everything, just like over there in China. It say, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic has thou increased thy riches. Now they showed you in the movie, it's a movie, the one with Ice Cube. Vin Diesel played the first movie. What was it? With Samuel Jackson. I can't even think of, but they were trafficking. The government was trafficking guns in an 18-wheeler, but they had like it was a truck full of cheese, man. They show you this. They are the biggest traffickers on the planet, man. It say, by great wisdom and by thy traffic has thy gotten thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, because thou set thy heart as the heart of God. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, which is going to be first and foremost with the bear, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. So that's why I say, is there no more wisdom in teaming? No, man. These devils are destroyed and they are separated, man. It say, thou shalt bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Will thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? Hey, because you ain't gonna be able to go against this, and a God can't be killed, man. A power cannot be killed. It say, but thou shalt be a man and no God in the hand of them that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, said the Lord Yahweh power. Hey, then we die the death. Listen to this. It say, thou shalt die the death of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. Didn't this not happen to us? Then we lose our lives by dying by the hand of uncircumcised heathens. Yeah, man. So what you have, that's what the Lord say in Jeremiah 49. You got to drink a double portion, man. The same way we had to die the deaths of heathens, uncircumcised men. This is going to happen to you, man. You got to pay for all this, man. This is Luke 11:17. It reads, but he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. So we see the Lord got these devils separated. Let me read this. This is Luke 12:51. It reads, suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth, I tell you nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. And this is talking about Jake and their family members when you come into this truth. But also, hey, on the left-hand side, man, these devils is not on one accord, man. Right? Hey, though it seems like they fighting for the commonwealth, and they fighting for, you got one fighting for the common people, and the other one fighting for the ones that, the rich that don't gotta pay taxes. Hey, listen, man. Though they seem like they fighting for you, at the same time, they on one accord, man. But they are separated. Why? Because they did it to us, man. They are not on one accord, man. Though it seemed like it. Now we know on the back end they fighting together to deceive the world, man. But they are not together, man. They separated. They've been like this since Alexander the Greek, man. They have always been separated. They over here in the land that they done conquered, fighting about the slaves, man. It say this is these devils, man. This is Mark 3. And Jake just go right along with this get along madness, man. It say Mark 3:23, and he called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. This is Ecclesiasticus 21:27. And it reads, when the ungodly curseth Satan, he curseth his own soul. Why? Because you are the seeds of Satan, man. You working, you cursing your own self because you are a Satanite. This is Isaiah 19:1. It reads, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh, shall ride upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. If they so all together on the same page, why is this devil talking about the ones who control the social media sites? Talking about they got too much power. And he was talking about the elites at the same time, man. But you work for these devils. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And that's what's going on. He's destroying the counsel of these people, man. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to wizards. None of these things is working no more, man. These devils is not together. This is Proverbs 26 and 24. So what he was just doing was just exposing himself and his seed, man, and his seed line. This is our Proverbs 26 and 24 reads, he that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, which is completion. And that's what these devils is on, man. Abominations. It say, when he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. And because of this, that's what the Lord say in Isaiah 47:11, your kingdom shall fall, and you shall not be aware of it, man. It's Isaiah 47:11, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Because all they have pushed in the world is wickedness, man. Lies, deceit, man. Untempered mortar, which is nothing but lies, man. Let me read this. It's Jeremiah 50 and 22. And I'm gonna play this clip one more time. I'm gonna close out. This wasn't meant to be too long. This Jeremiah 50 and 22. A sound of battle is in the land, and it's happening right now, man. First, the words of Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Chant down Babylon, and then the literal fall, man. Because it's the words that's destroying this place. The sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee. Thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai. So these devils is falling. Because why? The Lord say he shot at them with the arrow. Matter of fact, let me read that. Let me pull this up one more time. I'm gonna play this one more time, Lord willing. So let me read this. This is Psalms 64 and verse 7. It reads, see, these devils they don't understand what's going on, man. Because the Lord say, what? I just read it. I have laid a snare for thee. This is Psalm 64 and 7. But Yahweh Shema Shai shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. To do what? So they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. So this is the results of Yahweh Shema Shai shooting them with an arrow, weakening them, man. He got them revealing and coming out with it, man. Let's run this back.
Collapse from within is possible. Race and open borders have become levers for the left to sow societal disunity. Immigration without assimilation, illicit drugs, human trafficking, disputed elections, inflationary risk, they've become the tools to disassemble our republic in what must surely be an attempt at national suicide. We allow MS-13 assassins to pass through our borders with gang tattoos covering their faces while we are lectured by our media for our obstinacy. There's a Marxist theoretician. I don't often talk about Marxist theoreticians. His name was Antonio Gramsci. He's an important man in history. He considered freedom servitude. He endeavored to rescue communism by positing that Western values are themselves cultural hegemony.
He said this guy was an important person in history. But what about Benjamin Banneker, man? Every time a president get elected, they allegedly stay in the White House. Well, who built that, man? Who made the blueprint for that? He is not mentioned, even though, you know, the Lord wasn't dealing with that. but he wasn't mentioned. It's over. It's a long list of things I got it in my phone, man, that Jake created. None of these men is mentioned, man. But this is their kingdom. So Jake don't supposed to be mentioned about the things that was built here. It only makes sense.
Unfamiliar? Western values have brought democratic institutions, technology, and a vast array of achievements to the world. We know this. And while Gramsci died years ago, I have to ask, why are our children being taught his lessons that derive from his invalidation notions in our schools as we sit here today? The histories of our heroes should instead be taught. Men like President Reagan. We must do this so students may comprehend the potential for excellence that exists within every single person. There was a fellow, his name was Dr. Norman Borlaug. I had the privilege to speak in Iowa at an event there celebrating his life. He was born in 1914. He created the Green Revolution. It was President Carter who wrote that Dr. Borlaug did more than any individual in history in the battle to end world hunger. Borlaug invented the high-yield wheat and agriculture practice that are used in Kansas today, and the practices that averted starvation in places like Mexico and India, Pakistan, China, and all throughout Africa. In destitute villages the world over, Norman Borlaug didn't see race, he didn't see religion or color. He asked a simple question: do these people have enough food? In so doing, he saved more lives than any person in history. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the Congressional Gold Medal, and countless accolades all across the world. But today, there is scary a mention of Mr. Borlaug in any of our public schools. This is tragic, and this must change. We dwell on our faults as if they were unique and not ubiquitous to every land that's ever existed. When will we teach our children about America's triumphs and our greatness? That answer is that every one of you in our party must make sure that that day is tomorrow. Our country is tearing itself apart. And for what? Anarchy and the elimination of our police can bring but death and fear. Discrimination can't be fought with more discrimination. And the form of socialism that is now being praised by the woke politicians and our billionaires will bring democracy to its knees. It'll bring it to its knees by culling dissenting opinions while concealing harmful biases in search engines and in social media platforms.
Now, I thought he was in politics. He said the politicians and the billionaires is going to bring Babylon the Great to his knees. I could have sworn he was a politic. He a politician. What are you talking about? You see, this is beautiful, man.
And if we do not act to secure our elections by demanding voter ID and online manipulation, we will be governed by forces. We will be governed by forces that are beyond our control.
Hey, well, matter of fact, let me get this. I forgot about that. We dealing with forces that's out of our control. Why? Because it's of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, man. It has nothing to do with us. This is Ephesians 6. In verse 10, it reads, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, and in the power of his might. And in the power of his might, put on the whole armor of power, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." We know this, Pompeo, and you know it.
Now, I'm sufficiently cynical to always ask the question, who benefits?
Who benefits? The powers of the rulers of the darkness of this world. That's who benefits. Hey, they fund both sides of the war, man. They fund everything. They control everything, man. Job 9:24. The earth was given into the hand of the wicked. He just mad because he's not getting his piece of the pie anymore, man. That's all that is. See, you got these wacky Job 9:24s who becoming back base, man. And he's not getting his piece of the pie no more.
Well, it's not America.
Hey, and they showed that with even though whatever it was a setup or whatever with the Russian with the when they rushed when they rushed the Congress building. Hey, these are the Job 924s that's not getting a piece of the pie no more, man. They be coming back what? Bases of men. They going back to their original habitation, and we getting back to ours, man. Call out Yahweh Shema Shah.
But an array of global interests that has amassed power and unaccountable wealth through their usurpation of the American dream.
See? Mass power, man. Unmasked power. This is who we're dealing with. But this is coming from the hand of Yahweh Shema Shah, man. You see, these devils just mad because they ain't getting a piece of the pie. That's all it boiled down to, man.
This was done by selling or commoditizing the engines of our economy. We had whole industries that moved to China. President Trump and I began to stem this tide. We formulated trade policies that brought unmatched numbers of jobs back here home to the United States of America. We established energy independence through regulatory reform, unleashing a massive amount of American dynamism.
This is the Lord playing chess with these devils, man.
We addressed intellectual property theft, critical materials and supply chains insecurities. We saved jobs that belong here and must never again be allowed to be stolen by anyone. I know we're not supposed to look backwards at this event, but these last 180 days have been something. This progress that we made has now been countermanded. That's so inconsistent with who we are and must be as a party. China's fusion of business and government has become the model for monopolistic corporations that seek permanent market dominance. Continuous surveillance, uniformity, and indoctrination means stability and growth for the most powerful countries in history. This is the reason why the same entities that exploit slave labor in China, lecture us at home about racism, continue to build their empires. They do it on the backs of slave labor. Do these leaders not hear the cries of Uyghur mothers whose babies are torn from their wombs?
Y'all, the conquistadors and Spaniards, they hear the cries of Gad, Reuben, and Issachar when they was hanging up Issachar, Gad, and Reuben 13 at a time, setting a fire up on them, burning them 13 at a time, because the number 13 is their number, because they said Yahushua and the disciples was walking around doing witchcraft, so they used Yahushua and the disciples as the number 13 for their witchcraft. They didn't take consideration when they was doing that to Jake, cutting open the wounds of the women, cutting their stomach open, taking the babies out, bashing their heads against the stones. Matter of fact, this is 2 Kings 8 and 12. This is what Elisha told Hazael. This is 2 Kings 8 and 12. And Hazael said, "Why weepest, my Lord?" And he answered, "Because I know the evil that thou would do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and will dash their children and rip up their women with child." Hazael was an Edomite. You go read the story. You go back to his name is go back to Ben Hadad, that guy that that fled from Solomon. He went and he fled into Egypt. This is like his grandson or son when you read the story. So, man, Elisha said, he said, "Because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel, their strongholds wilt thou set on fire," which they did, "and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and will dash their children," which they did, "and rip up their women with child." It's prophecy, man. And then these devils had a nerve. man, the Lord gonna really, hey, that's why he say he got a real vengeance, man.
You won't read much about it in our press. If our press were indeed fair-minded, it would expose this deceit. But they're owned, and they're bought, and they are silent. When dominant social media platforms can suspend and then ban a president of the United States, there is too much power in too few hands.
Hey, that's what the Lord said. He got to sacrifice in Basra, man. The pride of this devil. He talking about the seat. But what have y'all been doing, man? Talking about some damn Ronald Reagan. Come on, man. Our time coming.
So how does our party respond? How do we meet this challenge? To change the present course, we must inform our citizens of the threats to liberty, designed to be subtle or unseen, and we must eliminate the constellation of laws and regulations that has granted these corporations almost unlimited and certainly unearned power and wealth.
Hey, they working for hey, they working for the elites, man. What you gonna do about it? You just a little puppet on the screen, low on the totem pole, man.
There are some basic precepts, our antitrust laws, Section 230. These are things that will begin to restore freedom inside of our country.
Hey, these devils is through, man. They through. Let me read this and I'm gonna close out. These devils is through, man. This is Believer of the Truth, Bun Malak, Wisdom of Solomon 19:1. As for the ungodly, wrath came upon them without mercy until the end, for he knew before what they would do. Yeah, man. These devils, man. Yeah, these devils, yeah. Yeah, man. So Lord willing is edifying. Got to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rikah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether you can accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth towards the four winds of the earth, the entire world, working up the whole for the elect. Shalom to the Akwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. Lord willing is edifying. Till next time I say Shalom, Wa Abba Abba. The water for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. The water for the precepts. Shalom.